Today we're going to meet an urban gardener who's put every square inch of space in his garden to use. He grows the vast majority of what him and his family eat, and every surface is loaded to the gunnels. Let's have a look. Jacques, what a stunning little garden you've got here. It's just beautiful. What I really love though is the fact that you're making the most of the kind of vertical space here.
Yeah.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah, thank you. I love having a bunch of flowers and growing vertically to try to maximize the space in the garden. Because as you'll see as we go through this is I really like tomatoes, so there'll be plenty of vertical space for tomatoes.
Great. Yeah. And this kind of weave you've done here, that's quite thorough. Is it quite a faff to kind of put it together?
So fortunately, I did not hand weave this. I don't have any weaving or knitting experience. So I was able to find this net that's made out of jute. So it is something that will break down naturally, which is nice.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about this system is that it kind of combines it's like a simpler Florida weave, if you've seen that.
Yeah.
Because as the tomato grows, what you could do is, as the stems stick out, you just grab it and you tuck it back in.
Nice.
And it'll be supported.
Yeah,
so this way you could grow vertically without having to prune that much.
Amazing.
Without really limiting the plants. And
And so one thing, these are obviously indeterminate vining tomatoes. Yes. In the UK, we're quite thorough about picking out all the side shoots and stuff. It looks like you don't have to worry too much because it's consistently warm, is that right?
Yeah, so we have an interesting climate here. We don't really have a true winter. We have like maybe one day it'll have a little frost on the soil.
Okay.
So we have a very extensive season, and what that means is that I could plant these tomatoes. I think I started them in January. They were planted out in sometime late February. And they could grow in here literally all the way up until November.
Right.
As long as I have the space. But they're already getting pretty high up.
Yeah.
So likely what will happen is I let as many suckers grow for two reasons. First, I will get more tomatoes in the long run. But second, it also limits how tall the plant gets.
Oh, I see.
Because they're spending so much energy to bush out that now I have a longer period before I reach the top.
That's smart.
So now I don't have to have like an 8-foot trellis on a ladder. I could just let them go wider and then get more tomatoes this way.
And you can't not say anything about this guy here. How old is this? This is like, looks like it's like 18 months or something.
Yeah, so actually pretty incredible. This kale was one of the first things we put in the garden. It is now well over 4 years old. I just got a picture memory from my phone.
That is
And it showed the plant like this tall 4 years ago. So this is only 2 plants, and this is actually 1 plant with like 6 side shoots that have now grown all Dr. Seussy. But the kale is delicious. Wow. I don't really have to water that much because the root system is, I don't even know how big, because now it's
probably
had 4 or 5
running
years.
under us right here,
yeah,
isn't it?
It might even be beneath my feet. So it's really fun. And the kale tastes great still, and I don't know how long I could keep it going. At some point I thought it would flower.
So yeah, you'd have thought so, wouldn't you? It's such I love these stems, they're like dinosaur-like, aren't they? Gorgeous. Yeah. And your zucchini or courgettes here, you told me earlier you're going to be growing them up off the ground, and that's going to help with sort of things like mildew. It's going to kind of obviously create more ground space. Tell me about it.
So the beauty of this system, and actually both Kevin and I did it for the first time last year. We made a little video about it, but the cool thing about it is that instead of sprawling out and like creating tripping hazards, you're forcing it vertical, which also means that it's really easy to see your actual harvest. So your zucchini is just hanging off the side. No more sneaky giant baseball bat size.
We've all had those,
because it would be hard to miss it.
Yeah.
And then since it's off the ground, there's more airflow. It should be easier to prune, should have less disease and all that sort of thing.
Love it. I think I'm going to try this in my garden. It's great to get inspiration like
this. You definitely want something sturdy because the plants will grow for a long time. This kind of thick bamboo, in my experience, has held up.
That's it. Something I think thinner, it might snap under the weight.
I guess a similar thing to your climate is that right now at this time of year we have a lot of gray overcast, and usually it is sunny in San Diego.
Any time of year, but anyway,
And so one of the things that I wanted to point out is that yes, my tomatoes do get disease. It's things like powdery mildew, and basically the goal here is that I just remove the diseased leaves and hope that the plant grows faster than the disease. So I don't know if that's the similar strategy
I mean,
you have.
certainly with my zucchini or courgette, you just remove the old leaves and the new growth powers through, but it looks like you're keeping well ahead of the problem here.
Yeah, it's definitely still around, and one thing I just really quickly wanted to point out is that these are actually the same varieties of tomatoes. So earlier I mentioned that by leaving the suckers, it doesn't grow as tall, and here you could see like this tomato has already reached the top of this trellis. That one is past the top of the trellis. And that's because they're just 2 leads. So I am removing the suckers on those, and I am getting earlier fruit, and they are growing taller.
So but you're getting a more sort of dense wall of lushness here. Yeah. And you're making, I love this. You got like leeks down here, you've got peppers, you've got lettuce, obviously all your companion flowers. There's not a square inch wasted here.
No, I try to maximize as much as I can. And since I know that the tomatoes are providing shade, I thought what a great opportunity to try to grow some lettuce as we get into the hotter months.
Great.
Because now the lettuce is shaded, it's cooler, the leeks are able to go a little bit further into the season just because it's not going to be as hot.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Jacques, this is the life. What I love about this garden as well is there's little sort of vignettes to enjoy, seats everywhere, and it's a real garden to live in and kind of unwind in.
Yes, that's exactly the purpose of this garden. We love being outside. This is actually Cosmo's favorite seat here. You can see I'm trying to share it with him.
He's a boy of good taste, I can tell.
Yeah, and that's really what the garden is for us, is having a space to be comfortable, to enjoy time together, and to enjoy delicious things like this tea.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Herbs really bring a garden to life along with the flowers. You've got the sort of fennel here, the basil, and all sorts. It's glorious.
Yeah, the herbs to me are the most important thing of any kitchen garden. If you want to cook, herbs are going to have your biggest impact, and I like to keep them right here close to the kitchen door.
Makes sense. And I see more garden over there.
There is
Shall
more.
we?
There is
Can we?
more. Let's do it.
Is this a calamondin?
It is a calamondin. Also, we call it calamansi here. It's like a classic Filipino cuisine.
Okay.
And the cool thing, you can pick one. Go ahead and grab one.
Yeah.
The nice thing about them is that the peel itself, I actually like eating. It's very sweet. It has a lot of sugar to it.
Oh yeah, that's
The
quite
fruit
palatable.
itself, yes. The fruit itself, though, quite sour.
Oh!
But it makes a great marinade and a great lemonade. And this will have fruit year-round in San Diego.
Wow.
All year I could pick from this reliably.
I can see how you could use the juice for like a sort of dressing, like a vinegar kind of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect little citrus there. And yeah, the peel is still delicious. So.
Glorious. Phoo-wee! What on earth is this? This is like a mass.
Yes, this is a giant mass of what's called orange clockvine.
Wow.
And there's some sort of structure underneath this. I don't even remember what it looks like
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
I think it used to be like an old
So does
pond.
this kind of sit here indefinitely?
Yeah.
It doesn't like
yeah,
that?
it'll look like this pretty much 365 days out of the
Wow.
year. It'll always have some level of bloom, which is why I
Amazing.
can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
And it's also here next to this exploding euphorbia, which shoots seeds all throughout my garden. But it does look cool, and I like the
does look
contrast.
cool.
of
It's
both
a nice
these.
kind of juxtaposition.
Yeah,
I like it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So walking through here, I like to be surrounded by plants, if you haven't told. So this is one of my little plant tunnels.
Yeah. Now, Jacques, one thing I noticed is yet more tomatoes. Have we got a problem, mate? What's going on?
Yes, there is a problem. There is a problem.
It's great. You can never have too many tomatoes, I reckon.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Everywhere you turn, you're surrounded by like cosmos and all sorts of sweet alyssum here. But this is interesting. You've got peppers kind of growing in the kind of, I guess, the shadows of the tomatoes.
Yeah.
What's the logic here?
Yeah, so actually it's really interesting. One of the common issues I have here in San Diego is that these peppers, like these big bell peppers, there's so much sun here that I get a lot of sun scalding.
Oh, right.
And so you'll get that little burn spot, and the whole pepper is essentially, you could save it and try to use it in your own
Cut
kitchen
it
at
out, but
home,
yeah.
but it's just not that great.
Yeah.
I end up losing some crop. So what I decided to do is I'll plant a nice wall of tomatoes here. These are all my indeterminate, like slicing tomatoes, like
Lovely stuff.
beefsteaks.
Yeah,
Actually, I have a
whoppers.
ripe one there.
Oh, yeah.
That's nice. And so the idea is that in the late afternoon, as the sun crosses over, these are now casting dappled light onto the pepper plants. And actually peppers do well in some partial shade, and also it eliminates the sun scald entirely.
See, I'm so used to it in my climate thinking, well, it needs full sun, baking. It's kind of surreal to think actually, a bit of shade in a sunny climate.
Yeah, and I found that they do really well. And this is pretty early in the season for us, for them to be like already producing fruits, but so far it's working pretty well.
Good stuff. So Jacques, what are we actually digging around for here? What's in here?
So I was telling you earlier, what I have here is my tomato bed and a bunch of straw. And what I've done in the straw is I've inoculated it with wine cap mushrooms.
Wicked.
Now, there's a twofold reason to it. First, the tomatoes will provide shade, which the mushrooms like. And the second is that the wine cap mushrooms actually will hunt, attack, and consume nematodes.
No.
So
Really?
yeah, it's one of these interesting things. Oyster mushrooms and wine caps do it. They can, I don't think they've ever been described as doing this before, but they actually will send their fungal hyphae, hunt and pierce nematodes, and then consume them.
It's like fungi is that whole kingdom of living beings that never ceases to amaze.
No, every time it's incredible.
When you hear stuff like that, wow.
So you get delicious mushrooms, and then I actually struggle with root knot nematode issues here, where they mess up my tomato roots. So I figured, why not grow the mushrooms right where the problem is, and see if I could get a harvest, and also solve the nematodes.
You'll have to keep me updated on that. That's, I'm intrigued. Jacques, I've got onion envy. How do you get them this big?
So I think the biggest thing that I did this year that really helped is, it was a dry year, but what I did is I made sure I actually had irrigation on my onions. So last year I didn't have irrigation, I kind of counted on the rain. This time I watered very regularly, and they really seem to have responded, because like this onion, I mean, that's a proper onion right there.
That is a proper onion. Yeah, that's going to do more than one meal, isn't it?
Yes, that's almost a problem at this point.
Yeah.
So once these are out, which will probably come out this week, I will switch this into another row of tomatoes. So I'll have 1, 2, 3 rows of tomatoes.
More tomatoes, why not?
Yeah, why not? I got the space.
Yeah.
And it's actually right up against this area here, which I like to call my pollinator patch.
Yeah.
So the idea behind this is that I wanted a dedicated space to just have flowers year round, that I didn't really mess around or faff about with.
Nice.
No faffing about here. The bugs get to live here undisturbed. I don't prune it, really. I just kind of leave it. And whatever wants to live in here gets to live in there. It's next to all my plants, so I get the benefit from the pollinators.
You can see it's alive with bugs just looking through it now, so it's clearly doing the right thing, isn't it?
Yes, I got a ton of straw flowers, some echinacea, some cornflowers, the you said it earlier.
Gaillardia is, I think it's the Latin name, but
also known as the blanket flower.
Blanket flower.
And so those are kind of my mainstays right now.
You've got a lot of onions and just stuff in general. What do you do with it all, Jacques?
So we actually cook a lot. We actually, in the summertime especially, we cook 95+% of our meals directly out of the garden.
Wow.
So we eat a lot of vegetable heavy meals. Like these onions, it looks like a lot, but that'll probably last 3 months max. This year I grew 400 heads of garlic, and that maybe is enough.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it must last.
Yeah, we like to entertain. We have people over in the summer. All this outside area, we like to have big cookouts and parties, and I'll give away the occasional tomato, because I do love tomatoes, but as you've seen, there's even too many tomatoes for me to eat.
Yeah. And this is looking like you're going to get a good crop here. What's the story here?
So this peach story is actually pretty interesting, because how old do you think this tree is if you were to look at it?
I mean, at least 6 years, maybe, something like that.
So this tree right now is 14 months old.
No, come on.
So yes,
seriously.
From a bare root tree. So a stick was about maybe this tall with 3 little branches.
What?
And I planted it using this.
What have you done? What's the secret?
Everything's organic, first of all. But it's this method where you dig this crazy, luxurious hole for the tree. So this is a 3-foot wide hole, 2 feet deep, and it's amended with organic fertilizers, compost, and basically you're setting up the tree's roots to be able to grow very quickly into those 3 feet and get all the nutrients they need. And this is what you get.
So it's a lot of effort right at the start, but obviously it pays off in fruit quicker. Yeah,
it's like a $500 hole for a $50 tree. It's like the other way. And so the other cool thing about this is you'll notice that these peaches are pretty much almost ready to harvest. They are protected because birds are liking them. Those peaches are a lot smaller. And this side has no peaches because this is a 3-in-1 tree. There's
3 different varieties.
3 different varieties, and they all have a different harvest window. So the cool thing about this is that, let's say you love peaches, but you don't want to have 200 peaches in a week. This will give you 3 different types of peaches spaced out over like a 2-month period.
That's such a good idea.
Just taking up one spot. So I absolutely love it. It's been really cool to see how fast it grows, and I'm very excited to harvest these peaches right now.
And you got this flashing down here. Is this some sort of pest control?
Yes. So I did do the aluminum roofing flashing up to the base of the tree, and that's just to make it slippery so rodents can't climb it. So the idea is like they might be able to jump higher than that, but hopefully it slows them down enough that the neighborhood cat gets to them before they get to my peach.
This whole setup, you're a pretty flashy guy.
So Ben, I was wondering if you've ever seen this before. This is the perennial 9-star cauliflower.
You know, we've mentioned it in one of our videos, I think, but I've never actually grown one. And this is a whopper, isn't it?
Yes, and this is actually after a year. I've removed a bunch of it, and it still hasn't given me any florets. So fingers crossed,
eh? Fingers crossed.
We're holding on.
Now, I'm interested just from a personal angle of this irrigation here.
Oh, sure.
We don't really have irrigation as such in the UK. Well, we do, but you know what I mean. We don't have it as a integral thing is to get plenty of the wet stuff coming from the sky. So is it complicated to set up? You know, how does it all work, really?
It can be a little intimidating because you have to have the source of water near where you are. So I actually went the hard way. I dug PVC throughout my whole garden.
Right.
I have it hooked up to a controller. It's all automatic. There's easier ways to do it with just a garden hose attached to this. So here, though, it's absolutely required. If you don't have irrigation, you don't have a garden. Because all of our rain falls from December, maybe into May.
Okay.
After that, zero rain throughout the entire summer.
Yeah.
So if you're not adding water, like I said, like you might have a native plant garden. I have some of those that don't have irrigation. But for growing vegetables, 100% you need to bring water to the
And I can
plants.
see it's pretty efficiently delivered. It's drip, it's at ground level, and I guess you could throw mulch over there, which you do with the straw.
And as you can see, as I pull aside, it's also wet in between. So when the water hits, it starts to spread. And so each one of these underground like will spread, and overall, it is a nice uniform watering.
Lovely.
Yeah. So over here, I've got my runner bean like house basically.
So, get in there and sort of be cozy, couldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking I'm gonna actually harvest a couple of these. These are those. Oops. You want to grab a couple?
Grab
These are more flat style beans, which I don't often eat as green beans. But you were telling me this really interesting recipe.
If you just cut off the edge and just push it through, like it's got razor blades on it, you get like ribbons, like a sort of spaghetti, and then steam it up, and you put some butter and pepper in it. It's magic.
That's what I'm gonna try.
Love these.
So thanks for the tip. And scarlet runner beans, also great for hummingbirds though. Just a quick shout out. I see a ton of hummingbirds here. They love these big red flowers with the deep pockets to get the nectar from. Wonderful plant that you could eat and also attract hummingbirds.
Best of both worlds. These guys are quite close. I'm guessing about a foot apart. That is a bit close. I reckon this has got a reason behind this. What's the logic?
So this is actually the first time I've tried this particular method. It's called the 2-in-1 hole. Silly name, but the idea behind it is that you get two varieties of fruit, like the same varieties, like these pears. They both need the other one to pollinate each other. So instead of like saying, planting them at the normal spacing, giving up like 10 feet of my garden, I decided I'd rather just get basically half of each. Plant them right next to each other because they will be producing less now.
I see,
But now they're able to pollinate each other, share the same space, and they really are not taking up much more space
in terms of like, in terms of its structure and what it's doing here, it's essentially just the same as one tree, isn't it?
The only thing you have to do is like, as these branches start to cross over, you'll have to prune them in the inside, but the outside gets to just go, and now you get the benefits of pollination and the benefit of eating two different styles of pear instead of just one.
And it looks like you got some something in here to look forward to.
I trained them. I pruned it early in the season to force the fruiting spurs, which is what the pears fruit on, to be low. So that way I'd never have to go up high to harvest my fruit. All of the fruit harvest should only be in the bottom like 3 to 4 feet of the tree.
Cool.
So earlier I was mentioning to you that if you didn't have irrigation, you could grow a native garden. And that's exactly what I have here. These are all California native plants. A lot of them are actually even endemic to San Diego.
So I didn't even know that the yarrow was Californian. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of different yarrows throughout the Southwest here. I think the white and the yellow are the ones that are truly native, but I even have like, technically it's a cultivar, it's not a true native. That's a paprika yarrow, but it has really pretty colors. And so all of this has no irrigation, and the reason why it's planted here is that the house actually blocks all of the sun. So this is the north-facing wall.
Gotcha.
And I figured I can't plant a vegetable garden here, but I might as well grow something beautiful. So all of these are native plants that can tolerate some amount of shade.
Lovely.
And also, speaking of shade, on the side, you'll see this huge wall of passion fruit. And you could probably hear the chickens because this is shading my chicken run area.
Oh, that's nice.
So I'm able to, I like to play with shade in my garden. I have a lot of it. So I'll tend to grow things like my brassicas, like broccolis and lettuces, wherever I have little pockets of shade. Or try to do something more unique like this native garden.
Superb. Jacques, we've gravitated back towards the tomatoes, which seems appropriate. I hope you get some help with your tomato problem.
I have joined Tomatoholics Anonymous, and we'll see if that makes any progress.
Thank you so much for having us today. This has been a fantastic tour. I know our viewers are going to really enjoy it as well.
Thanks for coming down.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.